Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. B-52 crash, the long-range military bomber exploding in a fireball 100 miles outside Los Angeles. The cloud of smoke visible for miles. What happened?
That's the roof of a car.
Life-threatening flash floods, parts of Texas underwater, cars trapped, drivers stranded. And the daring rescues tonight, plus a possible tropical storm on the horizon. Skydiving disaster, a dozen dead in Missouri after a plane went down just after takeoff.
The ground and trees around it exploded and it just lit up in flames.
And it's clear to me that a full ban is the right choice.
Banning social media, the UK's tough new rules for kids under 16. What's in them and could it happen here? And the good stuff tonight from the World Cup, a rare case of tourists behaving beautifully.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
And good evening. We do begin with that breaking news from Southern California, the crash of an Air Force B-52 bomber as it took off with 8 U.S. military crew members on board. The heavy long-range aircraft known as a Stratofortress had just taken off from Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert about 100 miles northeast of Los Angeles. You're looking now at pictures of the aftermath, the smoke there, the scarred earth. Carter Evans is following this for us from Los Angeles. He's got details just coming in now. Carter, good evening. What more do we know?
Well, good evening, Tony. The crash happened shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base. It's a critical phase of the flight where there is little room for error, and a large plume of black smoke could be seen for miles. Images from the scene show charred ground just off the runway and emergency crews rushing in, but it looks like very little of the plane remains after this routine test mission. Now, the B-52 is one of the oldest aircraft still flying in the U.S. military. The Air Force had 76 of them in service. Some were built back in the 1960s. Now, B-52s recently flew missions over Iran in late March. Last month, the Air Force announced its fleet of B-52s is set to get a series of upgrades, including new engines, with plans to keep the planes in service into the 2050s. These upgrades, though, require extensive flight testing, and that will take place at Edwards Air Force Base. Officials there say initial indications are that the crash is not survivable and the cause is under investigation. Tony.
All right, Carter, thank you very much. Back here in the U.S., California Governor Gavin Newsom said today the Justice Department is investigating him and his wife, and he accused President Trump of trying to punish a political enemy.
You can investigate me. You can harass me. Put my name on every and any enemy's list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta.
CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa is following this for us. Bob, good evening. Glad to have you. The governor there says this is politically motivated. What do we know?
Tony, so far, no comment from the FBI or Justice Department, but Governor Newsom has been a longtime political rival of the president, and CBS News has confirmed that federal investigators are contacting family, friends, associates, and records are being requested. In fact, sources say people are being asked about the finances of the governor's family, with a focus on nonprofit groups linked to his wife, Jennifer. She is a longtime filmmaker who works on women's empowerment, among other projects. Newsom has a rising profile, and last year he told me that he will consider a presidential campaign after the midterm elections. Sources close to him told me tonight that he will fight this publicly and forcefully in the coming weeks and wants to push back hard against President Trump. He and other top Democrats believe President Trump is weaponizing the Justice Department. Other Trump critics, like former FBI Director Jim Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, they have faced indictments. Tony.
Bob, thank you very much. We turn now to weather and the life-threatening flash floods across parts of the South. Storms have already dropped heavy rains across much of Texas, but the danger has only just begun. CBS News correspondent Jason Allen reports now from Houston.
Intense rainfall pounded the Houston area today. Flash floods made driving dangerous.
This is a really tropical air mass that can produce a lot of heavy rain in a short period of time.
Overnight, this video shows first responders rescuing people trapped in floodwaters in McLennan County. In Waco, Texas, more than 6 inches of rain turned highways into rivers.
There's a car just floating down the median. I hope nobody is in it.
Only the wall separating lanes of traffic on Interstate 35 was holding the water back. Flooded lanes, cars floated away, and multiple vehicles were left stranded in the middle of the highway.
And there's EMS we're just stuck out here.
Many drivers abandoned their cars while first responders rescued others as the water kept rising. Storms have triggered dangerous flash flooding across the state and along the Gulf Coast. There have been more than 70 flash flood reports in the past 24 hours. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling up more resources as life-threatening floods are putting several communities at risk as more heavy rains are expected in the coming days.
Please do not drive into high water. Be especially careful at night when you can't really tell how deep the water is or how fast it's flowing. We don't want anybody to lose their lives.
Yeah, this is where two bayous come together in Houston, carrying all this flood water. The tops of the lampposts that you see back here, those posts are probably a good 10 feet high. And all this weather today also forced World Cup organizers to cancel the Fan Fest that they had planned here in Houston today. Tony?
All right, Jason, thank you very much. For more on the flooding threat, tens of millions across the country facing the risk this week, CBS meteorologist Rob Marciano joins us. He's tracking it all. Rob, good evening.
Hey, Tony, yeah, it's mostly across the Gulf Coast where we could have our first named tropical storm of the season. Flash flood watches have been posted. You saw the impacts across Texas and the heavy rain from Waco and Houston is all pushing now into Louisiana before we recharge again. This is up through Friday, and some warnings in effect right now. So there's the low, and if it gets into the Gulf enough, it'll become a tropical storm. About a 50% chance of that according to the NHC. But you see all the moisture coming in. Whether it's named or not, we're going to get a ton of it. Anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rainfall from Houston all the way into Atlanta. I think some folks will see over a foot of rain. Meanwhile, the heat in the west is no joke. Seattle 2 days in a row of record high temperatures. You will cool off some tomorrow, but the heat pushes inland, as do the red flag warnings. And just like last week, a strong system coming into the plains for the threat for tornadoes on Wednesday in some of the same spots, and Thursday into the northeast. Once again, another busy weather week ahead.
All right, Rob, thank you very much. Tonight, federal investigators are looking into what brought down that skydiving plane over the weekend. 12 people died in the crash right after takeoff in Butler, Missouri. That's about 70 miles south of Kansas City. Eyewitness Bailey Reed was driving with her kids when she saw it happen.
The ground and trees around it exploded and it just lit up in flames.
The National Transportation Safety Board has called in the past for stricter oversight of the skydiving industry, including planes and pilots. A Russian attack inside Ukraine has damaged one of the most sacred religious sites in the Eastern Orthodox Church. This cathedral, part of a complex dating to the 11th century, faced a barrage of missiles and drones targeting Kyiv overnight. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called it a crime against Christianity. And to the UK now, in a major new move to keep kids off social media there. Anyone under 16 would be banned from apps like TikTok and Snapchat, and the social media companies themselves would be required to verify ages or face hefty fines, according to the Prime Minister. CBS News reporter Lee Canary has details now from London.
The government will ban access to social media for all children under the age of 16.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said there's widespread support in the UK for a social media ban for kids, at least among parents. 9 in 10 surveyed by the government back it.
Feel a bit like smoking. It will just gradually ease away.
The teens we found have other thoughts.
Don't ban social media.
Yeah. People find other ways. And so that's it. You're getting rid of the good, but the bad will still find a way to come through.
And kids are finding other ways. In Australia, the first country to implement a social media ban for under 16s 6 months ago. 70% of parents surveyed there say their children are still scrolling on banned platforms. But Starmer says it's worth it.
We don't say, oh, look, a teenager managed to get a drink somehow, so let's not bother banning alcohol sales to children. We don't do that, do we? That will be utterly ridiculous.
The law posed by the UK goes further than Australia's, sweeping legislation to ban kids from what they call harmful functions, like live streaming and communicating with strangers. It also restricts under 18s from having AI romantic companions. The UK is the latest in more than a dozen countries discussing social media bans. Grassroots movements are growing too.
Join us in this global movement.
Like smartphone-free childhood, started here in the UK.
This isn't an anti-tech movement. This is a pro-childhood movement.
The law still has to go through the legislative process, but the Prime Minister said he expects it to pass and come into effect early next year. YouTube, Meta, and Snapchat released statements expressing concern that a blanket ban could push kids to less safe alternatives. Tony?
We'll see. Lee, thank you very much. Still ahead on the broadcast, the latest from the World Cup. A tiny island nation surprises a soccer powerhouse, and the team from Iran facing challenges off the pitch. Also, ending a 53-year championship drought has New York Knicks fans celebrating for days, setting records of their own while showing their pride for the orange and blue. Since the start of the war with Iran, there have been questions in the sports world about what it would mean for Iran's participation in the World Cup. Well, tonight we're finding out with the Iranian men's team taking the field in Los Angeles for a match against New Zealand. CBS's Nicole Valdez is there with a look at how this has divided the Iranian community.
Iran's first World Cup match is being shaped as much by events off the pitch as on it. The team prepared for its match against New Zealand in Mexico because of visa restrictions, but some Iranians living in Los Angeles, home to the largest Iranian community in the U.S., plan to be at tonight's match to send a message to the regime.
We're gonna boo this team because of the situation in Iran.
Yesterday, Iran's captain said, "We are here to bring joy to Iranian people. We do not get involved in politics. We are here to play football." Early in this World Cup, though, even the action on the pitch is unpredictable. Today, Cape Verde, which had never played in a World Cup, battled Spain, a tournament favorite, to a scoreless draw, leaving some fans jubilant and others shocked. Raw emotion playing out inside stadiums and on the streets. Like this sea of orange, fans of the Netherlands enveloping Dallas Stadium. The Americans hope the hometown crowds keep bringing the energy after their stunning 4-1 victory over Paraguay. But it was just as emotional of a night for fans like Richie Vallon.
As a father, it's about creating memories for your kids. What a moment. Just best ever.
And the U.S. men are dialed in for their next match in Seattle against Australia. Ticket prices for that showdown are soaring. Tony?
I can understand why. Nicole, thank you very much. Up next, a surprise guest star joins a production of Romeo and Juliet. Preps are now underway for the Knicks championship parade through New York City on Thursday, and that apparently includes a huge last-minute run on Knicks gear, the orange and blue look already everywhere in New York City. But sports retailer Fanatics said it got more than 8,000 new orders per minute after Saturday. That's the biggest 24-hour sales run of any championship team across any sport in Fanatics history. A controversial beagle breeding farm near Madison, Wisconsin is closing down after years of pressure and more. Ridgeland Farms has been accused for a long time of mistreating its animals, including through experiments and surgeries without pain medication, allegations the facility has denied. Well, now, under a deal with animal rights groups, all the dogs will be freed, nearly 500 of them, with the last of the puppies out in August. We turn now to a surprise new addition to a staged performance of Romeo and Juliet last week in Turkey. A stray cat wanders in right after Romeo takes the poison and starts playing with the actor's hair. Great work playing the dead guy, by the way. He doesn't even flinch. Juliet, too, though. She ad-libs dragging Romeo away. That is true love, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, the good stuff. Soccer fans from Japan have a unique tradition. Besides cheering, we'll tell you what they do with all those blue bags.
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by Ancestry. Discover, preserve, share.
We're back with the good stuff. If you're a tourist whose behavior makes news, it is usually bad news. You've thrown punches on a plane, you've broken a local treasure, you've bothered the local wildlife, or you've just generally made a fool of yourself very far from home. Which is why, when you first hear about Japanese soccer fans at the World Cup waving these giant blue plastic bags around, you might assume the worst. But this is not another case of soccer hooliganism or tourists gone wild, far from it. When the game is over, win or lose, or as seen here yesterday after a tie with the Netherlands, they use those blue bags to clean up the stadium, bottle by bottle, bagging trash until it's gone.
It's like respect for everything, respect for the players, supporters, and also for the stadium. We're kind of honored to be here, so we don't want to make some mess and then leave it.
In fact, they've been doing it since the country's first World Cup in 1998, and the Japanese players bring a similar idea to the locker rooms, even leaving thank you notes in the local language. And the reverence, it seems, goes both ways. This is a Japanese fan being tossed up by fans of the Netherlands, celebrating him. Now, of course, Japan, like any country, has its problems, and their team is not expected to leave with a World Cup trophy. But their fans have already earned something that tourists from most countries have not: a little global respect. That's another day in America and the world. I'm Tony DeCopa. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Good night.